What's happening, Renegade Cultures in the building?
Yo, what's going on? We back for some more action this week.
You know what it is, live and direct from the planet. Where we at? What planet we on tonight?
Brooklyn, baby. We always Brooklyn. Fuck ATL, man. Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn.
Fuck Brooklyn. Burn the bridge down. They've been Brooklyn's been how can I say this mildly? Brooklyn's been castrated, man. I mean, it's
Why
like
are we castrated?
There you go. There you go.
See, we got one of your guests up in here.
That's
I'm
right.
saying the whole gentrification piece is just taking it out. It took the bite out of Brooklyn. You know,
there's some old school Brooklyn still left, though. You know what I'm saying?
A few left.
Why don't you tell people where you're from?
Brooklyn.
Where
Can
you from?
carve out a little space for Bed-Stuy and Brownsville and East New York? We still here.
Oh, East New York's in the building?
Oh, I mean,
Brownsville?
I'm not from there, but I'm just saying. I'm from Atlanta. I'm just saying for my people in East New York.
Oh, she's trying to represent East New York.
ATL.
Okay. All right.
Well, my man is from Connecticut, so he can't really speak much about Connecticut.
Bridgeport.
You know
Don't ever forget that.
so
Anyway.
all right. We Renegade Culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. What's happening? How y'all feeling tonight? We have special guests in the building.
That's right. We got Sister Malaika Jabali. Did I say that right?
Close, Malaika.
Damn. I always fuck up a good African name. I apologize for that.
Damn.
I do that all the time.
You're a lawyer?
Yeah.
You know what? We both lawyers. She went to a better school than I did, though, apparently. She went to Columbia. I went to Fordham Law.
You went to Columbia and Fordham? Oh, you went to Fordham Law?
I went to Fordham, yeah. But you know about Fordham, man. You don't know
Man,
about
listen,
Fordham.
man, I'll tell you about that later on. But anyway, listen to Renegade Culture, the place where we can say fuck the police and fuck Fordham at the same damn time.
Hate you already, yeah.
And it is what it is. It's been a big week.
Yeah, a lot of things kicking off, yo. Kemp is trying to open back up the state.
Kemp the pimp, he's trying to sell all the people. You know what I mean? He's selling them hard. I'm trying not to curse so much these days. I'm coming over.
You're doing a real bad job, just to let you know now.
Am I? All right, well,
yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with, don't get into it yet. We're going to talk about Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden, the Me Too movement.
Talk about Stacey. Me Too movement.
We got another Trayvon Martin type situation that's developing in Georgia that we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about world events and what's happening, yo. And we got a special guest again. I'm going to say the name Malaika, right? Malaika.
Yeah.
I know that.
Goodness.
I know that. But you don't spell it right.
Come out from New Brooklyn.
I thought he was from the old Canarsie.
Old Canarsie, yeah.
And all of y'all.
Italian.
We're going to be back in a few seconds to open up this show and get started with some hot new topics.
You know what it is, Renegade Culture, episode 62, Blackout.
You know what it was, what it is, and what it could be. Raheem Shabazz of Elementary Genocide, and I am here on Renegade Culture with Kamal Franklin and Kalanji Changa. Yeah.
What's happening, Renegade Culture? We back again. Your favorite podcast, the number one podcast on the whole goddamn planet.
Oh, that's right. In the universe, B. I don't think there's
the universe?
I think it's the universe, B. I've heard some other ones. Mars, Venus, and all the rest. They ain't got nothing on us.
They ain't got nothing on us, huh? You know what I'm saying? I saw a couple big head cats look like they was from Mars or whatever, but I'm not quite sure where they were from.
True.
We know that Renegade Culture is the podcast of the future.
That's right.
Anyway, no doubt. What's happening, Kamal?
Yo, I'm doing good,
Franklin
man.
in the building.
You know what I'm saying? Well, my man, Kalanji Changa. You know what I'm saying?
My name, son. Be like that. See,
I did that on purpose, though, because I don't give a fuck about your name, to be honest.
I know. It's cool.
I just don't care.
You know, you keep the tradition of being a piece of shit. Anyway, yes. So we have a guest tonight.
Yes, a very special guest, yo. We got a guest who got credentials, not like those guests you be having. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
this sister is a writer, public policy attorney, activist.
Okay.
She's writing about politics, culture, race. Her articles have appeared in The Guardian, Essence, Intercept, Glamour Magazine, The Root, Current Affairs, amongst many others. And like I said, she got a law degree from Columbia Law School, almost as good as my school. Okay. And she's got her MS. She got an MS from Columbia University also. I got a MA too from Brooklyn College.
Okay.
And so she was studying social welfare. She got similar credentials. I'm mad because she topping me on the credential list, yo.
I see.
But all that to say is, Sister Malaika is here. Thank you for joining us on Renegade Culture Podcast.
Thanks. I'm having fun already, and it's only the intro.
You know how we do.
There you go.
Yes. Malaika says she listened to about 500 of our shows.
Yeah, she's a big fan. She said.
Big fan. She's over there cheering like, go, Kalanje. It's your birthday. Anyway, honored to see you on deck tonight, man. We been hearing a lot about your work.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Yes, we wanted to wrap with you. Like, most of the journalists we had on have been derelicts because they were chosen by my dear co-host Kamal. But it's good to see some folks who actually went to law school.
Yep.
That's,
that's not a requirement for journalism, but we'll just keep it going.
I was thinking about attorneys, and I was thinking about you.
Hey, real quick, I gotta say, man, thanks to Kemp, it was some traffic today while I was driving.
Oh, that's wild.
It was some traffic today, and I was not used to seeing so many people out, and the black community was having cookouts and everything.
Okay.
They reopened everything.
We lead into our first topic, which is, Kalonji, you're going to jump in on this, but Kemp is now opening the state. Can you provide us some opening details?
Well, according to your favorite news network, Fox and CNN, those particular networks, they announced that Dr. Kemp will be opening up the state. We'll be canceling the shelter in place tonight at 11:59 p.m. So, black folks and others who don't necessarily care about their health will be out in droves like they were at the nail salons and barbershops and all of that stuff this past weekend. So, our position is we know that Kemp is, he's like Young Thug. If it ain't about the money, ain't nothing happening. So, so we're going to get to the bottom of it and hopefully talk to some of the listeners about staying in place.
Yeah, and and since I want you to jump in on this, but it's amazing to me that, before any sort of rapid testing has been done, before they've been able to sort of analyze hotspots, they've started, like you said, opening up the economy because it's all about capitalism. It's not about the people. And I think this is starting to happen across the country because now there's this fear, particularly among the right-wing politicians, that Trump now is dropping in the polls and they got to revive this economy before the election starts back up. Malaika, what do you think about this?
It's exactly what you said. We're a capitalist country, or this is a capitalist country, and the arguments that they're using right now about them opening it up for their liberties reminds me, they're talking about free Georgia, free all these states. This is the rhetoric that Trump is using. It reminds me of the sorts of arguments slaveholders would have about holding on to their states' rights. So what was more important to them were their constitutional liberties, which they conflated with human rights for other people. So they didn't mind having us in chains. They did not mind us. They don't mind us getting coronavirus and dying and being in hospitals because their rights, their liberties take precedent over all of that. So it's just more proof that whether it's in 1855 or 2020, capitalism is going to capitalism and their priority is making money.
That's right. That's right. It's funny you mentioned you mentioned so much, but they were saying that the numbers right now, 80% of the folks hospitalized are African-American. And, that's just in the state of Georgia. And it's amazing because of the fact that seeing it, we're such a minor population. We're seeing we're 13, 14% of the U.S. population. The majority of the cases seems to be in the Black and brown communities. I just saw something earlier, an early report about some of the ICE detainees who put out a video, some women just talking about how hellish the particular facility that they're in is, and how some of the sisters are walking around on video with socks wrapped around their faces to try to prevent themselves from, getting ill. We need to speak to that. What do you see as the future for, the citizens of Georgia right now? Once this floodgate
what do we do?
Open? Yeah, what's your thoughts?
It's really hard, and I think we need to get more epidemiologists, like Black epidemiologists. We need more Black public health experts to we need to have more attention on them and to see what they think we can be doing, other than us, continuing to just do what we do and stay at home. Like I call my mama up. So I'm based in Brooklyn, but I'm from Georgia, raised outside of Atlanta. And I was like, Ma, do not listen to what Brian Kemp says. I don't know if y'all saw that meme. It was like this really long acronym. It went viral on Twitter. And basically it was like, stay the fuck at home. Don't listen to what Brian Kemp says, because it's going to hurt us the most. And I see it right here. I mean, New York City, I guess you could consider that the epicenter in the world at this point. And as we know, it's for a variety of reasons, because we're the ones on the public transit. We're the ones who have these essential jobs. And we're kind of stuck, because some people actually do need to go to work. Some people are just going to be parlaying and socializing. So until we get some, a national or some coordination amongst Black people, we talk about a Black agenda. Our agenda is just stay alive right now.
Right.
I think we need to organize ourselves, because the government is not doing it. They do not care.
And it's amazing how badly, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, just how badly they've handled this whole situation where, no testing, no social distancing, not just Georgia, of course, the whole country, where the United States has now become like the epicenter of this whole virus outbreak. And again, without the testing to try to isolate this, they're sending people out potentially to die, so that they can keep their machinery running, And this is obvious. This is not just Kemp, but this is obviously something that is being pushed by Trump and the Trump administration, because again, they think that if they don't do this, and all the polls are showing that Joe Biden is about to lose. Joe Biden is about to, I guess, is ahead in some of the polling, and so they're worried as that this is about to take over his chances of getting reelected, and things are going to be over.
Right. I mean, it seems like the obvious solution. And so that's the thing. If they really genuinely cared about people and not just maintaining power, I'm referring to Republicans at this point, then they would give people money. But the reality is that they're holding off on giving people unemployment, because they know once they start expanding the government largesse, people are going to say, okay, we're getting some of our basic needs taken care of. I do not need to work for this corporate master until I die, because that's, that is going to compromise me, my family, and my community. And so they're deciding that their profits are worth more than people's lives, because they could easily, the same way they gave trillions of dollars to these corporations, billions of dollars to quote unquote small businesses, they can give that to people, and they just choose not to.
It's funny you guys talking about that. Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor of Texas, stated a couple weeks back, that there are more important things than living. What was your thoughts on that? I mean, I'm still trying to figure that shit out. It's been 2 weeks, and I've been like home trying to think like, what's more important than living? Giving birth, that's still living. Eating, that's still living. You know what I mean?
You gotta think. Some people thinking like, yo, how am I gonna eat if I ain't getting no money? So people like, yo, I gotta work. I gotta get out here and get some money, because if I don't, then I can't feed my people. So it's like,
but how the fuck is that more important than living? You still gotta live to do that shit.
Eat? I mean, who knew Andrew Yang? Is it Andrew Yang?
Yeah.
Even though he fell out, had the best idea about the basic income.
The basic income, yeah.
Yeah. Like, who knew? No one. I'd expect that this just pop back up, and that's the thing that people are saying. Is like in other countries around the world, particularly other European social democratic countries, folks are getting some basic income so that they can shelter in place. Here, you get one check, which I ain't even got yet. I just want to keep saying I ain't getting no check yet. And you ain't getting, nobody's getting no, $1,200 check is supposed to carry you over for what's now 2, 3, 4 months of being out of work.
Right. And it's also basic, but to me, it just shows that capitalism is a cult and white supremacy is a cult, because this could be, we could lock it down a couple months, just give people the money and call it a day. But they're so determined to hold on to this worldview that they just cannot give people basic services, that they're willing to, pretty much destroy the country. It's really absurd. It has no logic.
I mean, Puerto Rico, the governor, Governor Wanda Garced, she said that no one in Puerto Rico has received a stimulation check. So, I mean, Puerto Rico has just been getting jerked around.
Yeah.
I mean, and Trump, I mean, he's just a hell of a character. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that not only him, I mean, the Republican Party and the Democrats as well, because I don't hear anyone going to bat for, this particular territory that's supposed to be a U.S. territory. You know what I mean? So everything's selective around here. When we get back, we about to go to a quick break, but we're gonna, speaking of selectively applied shit, we're gonna talk about the homie Stacey Abrams, and then we're gonna talk about the Me Too movement, in which we support. You know what I mean? Because we think that Me Too is a wonderful thing, but we don't think that just because your monkey ass is running for president, that you should get a pass. I don't give a fuck what you're running for. I don't care if you're running for the police. You should get a pass for sexual assault. That's just my thing. If they lock Bill Cosby Jello pudding eating ass up, then I think they should do the same for Biden, little crusty, forgetful ass. So anyway, listen to Renegade Culture. It's goddamn right. Listen to Renegade Culture. We can say fuck Biden, fuck Kemp, and fuck anybody who don't play right. No one's them.
We be back.
Us two, us three, whatever.
Nope.
Renegade Culture.
Michael Render, a.k.a. Killer Mike, you watching me on Renegade Culture, a.k.a. none of that lame shit allowed, fuck boy.
1, 2, 3, 4. Renegade Culture's in the building.
I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm stepping on your lines tonight.
You be doing that shit, man.
Yeah, because they crap, but you know.
Yeah,
we're going to do our theme song?
We ain't doing no motherfucking theme song.
Okay, third segment. We're going to do our theme song.
We boycotting the theme song,
Malika, you're going to have to join in. You have a special guest?
First, you always talking about we.
I know. It's still a we.
You love the theme song, B.
I'm outvoted. We got Knock in the building over here.
I know, we didn't even introduce them.
I mean, we safe like that. You know what I mean? It's the best thing. He's introducing himself. He over there talking to himself like, what about Diddy? You know what I'm saying?
It's all about Diddy. Diddy and Jay-Z. I love them. I love them.
A lot of people look at these guys as the black leaders.
A lot of people. You mean you? A lot of people. Starting with you. That's who looked at black leaders.
So a lot of people see. A lot of people blind.
They got a lot of
followers. What Jay-Z said this week.
He said he got a lot of followers. So did goddamn. So did Jim Jones.
So does Trump. Does it make him your leader?
Exactly. Man, listen. I was in the grocery store today, real quick, and it's this white boy behind me. He had this Trump hat on. Shit. This Keep America. Make America great again and shit like that. So I was fucking with him. I was just standing there grilling him and shit. So the motherfucker, he kept turning his head and all that shit and looking backwards and all that. So my cousin was like, I should smack that motherfucker hat off his head. I said, don't do that. You're nonviolent people. I look back up, my man, he's social distance so far. I don't know what the fuck he was. Grocery cart was still there, but he had to take 5. But anyway. We back, Renegade Culture.
Let's talk about the politics of the situation, what's happening right now.
Are we talking about Stacey Abrams?
We're going to talk about Stacey and Joe Biden. So Joe Biden, who's been accused now of multiple possible sexual assaults, behavior that is sexist and patriarchal. And a story came out a couple of weeks ago. This story's been out for a while, but it started to catch on social media, where someone accused Joe Biden, a former staffer, of basically pushing her up against a wall and putting his hand up her skirt to be delicate about it. So
he was doing I'm
not sure what you're going
Donald Trump before Trump decided.
Well, they might have been doing it at the same time. The question now is who's got more sexual assault charges, either Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
However, what choice you want? You want to get rape or assault here?
How do you want to get with that?
Yeah, you know? This is amazing.
And so I don't think the allegations are not so new, but the Biden camp is avoiding saying anything publicly about the allegations, obviously hoping they're going to go away, hoping no one's going to stress on them. But now the media is starting to pick up on him and starting to ask more questions of Biden's surrogates, other Democrats, potential supporters, progressives, and so forth. And Stacey Abrams, who is one of the favorite progressives of the left right now, even though I think her left politics are questionable, but we'll get into that. On CNN, had a discussion and basically said that she believes Joe Biden.
Hold it, wait. Pause.
Yes.
Pause. Not our Stacey.
Your Stacey, B.
What's up with these
Stacey
black candidates that was at the top of the damn helmet things in Georgia and Florida? I mean, they fucking up. I mean, what's going on here? What's going on? You know what I mean? You got your man down in Florida. We don't talk about him. You know what I mean? He sniffing or whatever he doing, sniffing, sipping, licking, whatever. So you got my girl here, Stacey, who everybody was supporting. Now she stands up in front of America and says what?
She says, I believe Joe. She says she thinks it should be investigated.
Wow.
But she also said that she believes Joe. And everybody knows, of course, she's been making public statements that are basically advocating to be picked as the vice president for Joe Biden.
Malaika,
so what do y'all think about that?
Malaika, do you think she's kissing up on Biden's Heidi?
I think that is a typical practice for Democratic Party, well-known Democrats. They're sticking together. You look at Nancy Pelosi, she made comments earlier today. She said, Joe Biden is Joe Biden. Like, okay, so what is that supposed to mean? Is that the same thing as boys will be boys? Are we just supposed to accept his behavior just because that's who he is? Right. So I think, she's lobbying for a position, and that is what people do when they lobby for a position. And what's problematic about her statement is she, in addition to saying that she believes him, she also said that the New York Times conducted a thorough investigation already, and they did not find anything, which is factually incorrect.
Totally incorrect.
To the extent that the New York Times had to put out a statement and say, that is not at all what we said. They said that we see a pattern of inappropriate conduct here, here, and here. We did not find any staffers or other people in his camp who can corroborate those events, but that does not mean that they did a thorough investigation. That's not, and that we can discount what actually happened, what her testimony was.
So do you think she read the wrong paper and she thought it was the New York Times? That could happen.
What she was reading, USA Today or something?
USA Today, or what's the other tabloid joint?
People Magazine.
The Post.
Yeah, one of them joints.
Yeah, New York Post.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Times. They said, you better get our name out your mouth now because our reputation is on the line. And you have more and more people who are corroborating this. So at the very least, what's so bad about this is that you don't just have people who are saying, we need to look into this. Yes, I know he's our guy. We need to look into it. They are actively covering up for him in a way that it's going to pretty much turn off people who are not anyone else who is not a Democratic Party loyalist. And so if the idea is to have this big tent of Democrats to support Biden, who already has low enthusiasm, you digging in your heels and saying, oh, no, he's fine, nothing to see here, just makes you look more suspicious and more committed to just the man instead of any sort of principle. So if you look unprincipled, how are you going to unite the party? Not that, and I don't consider myself a Democrat. I'm a socialist. I don't identify with the Democratic Party on a national level. But a lot of us still would vote for a Democrat. We'll vote for a Democratic candidate. And so you're turning off potentially millions of people, like the 2 million who stayed home, 2 million folks who voted for Obama but didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. That's the same group. It's like, I don't know what y'all doing here, but y'all are going to bat for someone who might have committed assault. This party is not for me.
Right. I mean, and he has a track record that's, outrageous anyway in regards to just the prison industrial complex. We're not going to get into that at this particular time. But I think that this right here is, it's disgusting to hear women, particularly Black women, who have been traditionally, historically sexually assaulted, raped, disregarded, disrespected, to stand up in front of the world and say, I believe Joe, all because of the fact that you're trying to get a position. What type of position are you trying to get? You understand what I'm saying? How low will you go? You know what I mean?
It speaks to like this whole lesser of two evils thing that we are trapped in terms of like mainstream electoral politics, right? And this is what people feel like they're trapped in and they have no choice. And in addition to that, they're fighting for power. It's like, do you go with we've talked about this briefly before, Trump, the overt races, or Biden, the subtle races, right? Do you go with Trump, the overt sexual molester, so many cases piled up that it's impossible to deny, but yet who still got elected? Or do you go with the guy who is somehow considered nice, right? Who considered like his molestation or so forth is not considered as serious, and they don't want to do any investigation to find out exactly what's happening because they feel like he's the lesser of two evils. And so we're trapped in this dichotomy where folks feel like these are their only choices. And you're right. as opposed to looking at other values, other systems of government, creating other structures that challenge this dichotomy of these two parties. We fall it over and over and over again. We ask our people to fall into this trap of like picking the lesser of two evils, i.e. usually the Democrat or the Republican, as if that somehow is going to change our lives in some totality. I'm going to admit that it changes some things around the edges, but it's not like it's some significant change about how our lives turn out, what prospects we have in mass, what happens internationally. The empire is the empire, and it continues to do what it does.
Okay, so what do we have to say about the Me Too movement? You know, we see the founder, Tarana Burke.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's went public. She was saying that he is accountable and electable. She was quoted saying, "The inconvenient truth is that this story is impacting us differently because it hits at the heart of one of the most important elections of our lifetime." What are our thoughts on that? I mean, because of the fact that, again, you know, I support the fact that, you know, he went after a number of folks, the Harvey Weinsteins, the Bill Cosbys, the R. Kellys, all which are pieces of shit, no less, who float no less than Joe Biden. You know, so I'm trying to figure out, like, right now, because we're under this illusion that if you don't vote for Biden, Trump's going to win. But what the fuck happened if you don't vote for Trump? Will Biden win? You know what I'm saying? So the reality is that a principled stance? And it's, you know, again, they do great work, but fuck that. Is that a principled stance or not?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty shameful and actually grotesque that what looks like the Democratic Party is sending out women to be the scapegoats for Joe Biden and subliminally almost telling Black women, okay, you have to continue to stay in line. Look at these two prominent Black women who said that one of them said that they're here for Joe and they believe him. Another one says, you know, he could still be electable and this is a complex issue. When the bottom line is he has a credible allegation against him. And by not starting off with, this is serious and we should look into it, it's undermining the entire movement, all for the sake of a man who destroyed the Black community, who harmed Black women, harmed Black men, harmed, you know, Black women to the extent that it was difficult for us to build families because so many of our men were incarcerated, who has a history of throwing Black women under the bus. When we think about Anita Hill and how he was handling the Senate proceedings to appoint Clarence Thomas. So he has this extensive history of racism, and they're using Black women to scapegoat all of this. And it's completely grotesque, and it shows the extent of how bad the Democratic Party is relying on just this very symbolic identity in order to have Black people fall in line.
It's a sad day in America. You listen to Renegade Culture.
Every day is a sad day in America.
Every day, it's been a sad day for us ever since we made it to these shores. Mm-hmm. But you know, just for a matter of principle, man, I am really I'm saddened. I mean, I'm really disgusted that you have such strong Black women, strong sisters who have made it in the community. Whether I agree with their policies or not, they've earned their spots, their positions, and now going towards the ninth inning, it's like, let's switch sides. You know what I mean? Let's you know, let the pimp do what the pimp do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And what's funny too is that Clyburn was, you know, held as this savior who saved Joe Biden, and they listened to Black people in South Carolina, and then turns around 2 seconds later and he's like, well, Joe Biden doesn't actually need to have a Black woman vice president. So we're just continuing to get played.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no doubt. So anyway,
we're going to talk more about this. Yeah, we're going to talk more about this in the next segment of Renegade Culture. We're going to be back in a second.
Yes, sir. It's Renegade Culture.
Yo, son, you was trying to do our song. The
Renegade.
You all into it.
I switched teams to Renegade Culture.
Yeah, you do switch teams.
Yeah,
Ear
like
Doctor.
that.
Should we lead it off? Should we do this, Ear Doctor?
Ear
Doctor.
The D, the E is
Renegade. Renegade Culture. Come on, Mika, you got it. You want to pick it up? You singing
something?
Hey,
the R.
I gotta know the next.
The N, the E, the G, the A, the D, the E. It's Renegade. Renegade
Culture.
Bam! Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
She helped y'all with your dumb song. Anyway.
She's an entertainer like Diddy.
Like Diddy?
Entertainer like Diddy.
What's going on with Diddy? What's going on with Diddy?
I don't know. I think Diddy's paying him. Like, what do you give you some Ciroc for your birthday?
Diddy. You took this Diddy.
Why are you on Diddy's titty? Anyway.
What happened? What happened?
Your boy is like, yo, we're not voting for you until you meet our demands. He said he's gonna hold the vote hostage, and a lot of people are like, yo, if you do that, then that's like a vote for Trump. You saying if you don't do it, which you know he's
with all due respect,
do it because that's really not his job anyway.
Okay, for those of us from the East Coast, we know that Diddy used to run with Trump, along with Mike Tyson and all them cats. They used to all hang out back in the day. Trump used to hang in the hip hop circle. He's hanging in the wrestling circles. Trump was just that particular character. So all that we're gonna hold the vote type shit. He's an undercover Trumpite. You know what I'm saying? Along with Don King, along with what's your other fool name, Kanye.
Your boy
you know
Kanye.
What I mean? So you know.
Well, I'm curious about what's the agenda. Like, what is Diddy's black agenda? Has he?
He's trying to get a check. I don't know what his black agenda.
I don't think he has one. I think he was just like, we need to come up with one. I saw it on his Instagram.
Yeah, I think he was high. He's just like we're gonna hold the vote. We're gonna. What happened to vote or die, motherfucker? What happened? Did we die, motherfucker?
We died. He's like, I do some cash at that, but I don't care no more.
Yeah, he got buttered up, and that was it.
You're right. It's like Ciroc happened and popped for him. He's like, you know what? I don't give a fuck about that vote no more.
And Diddy got one of the fucking worst track records, talking about track records. From the shit that happened at, what was that, City College back in the day?
City College, that's right. City College.
Him and Heavy D promoted the basketball game.
Yeah.
Several
fatalities.
Father MC's baby pregnant baby
greatest
mother
rapper of all time,
stampeded. Yes.
He's partly responsible for that.
Yeah, so many people died. Yes. So many people were arrested. We know his sister, the whole thing with Shine, when Shine
Oh, that's right, in the nightclub.
Yeah, so fuck is Diddy talking about? Why is Diddy even speaking?
Diddy said, hold my gun. He told folks, he's like, yo,
exactly. Yeah, hold my gun. Get the fuck out of there.
Yo.
So we not really, that's nice of Diddy. Okay, hip hip hooray. Next topic. What we talking about?
Yo, well, we got some serious stuff that's happening. I think you're going to take the lead on this. A brother who was jogging in Georgia was killed Trayvon Martin style.
Yes. So there's a brother down in Brunswick, Georgia, who was an athlete, 25 years old. He liked to jog. He liked to run. And he's jogging through a neighborhood down in Brunswick. And white man, Greg McMichael, yes, I said a white man because of the fact that
he was a white man.
We got to be clear.
Yeah.
It's Georgia. So basically, he's jogging. 64-year-old white man, Greg whatever the fuck I just said his name is. He's running through, and he passes by the man's home. Guy sees him, and he's like, "There's a nigger jogging in our neighborhood. He must have stole something. He must have broke in something. He must have killed somebody. He must have bit somebody, whatever." So he go in the house, and he get his punk ass son, who was 34 years old, and they grab a shotgun and a .357 and decide that they're going to get in the truck and go follow this black man because he shouldn't be jogging while black. You know what I'm saying? So they drive down on him, and they're like, "Look, stop. We need to talk to you, whatever, so on and so forth." So I'm imagining that this young 25-year-old black dude's like, "Yo, man, get the fuck away from me, man. I'm trying to run. You know what I mean? I'm doing my thing. Leave me alone." They get out the car. They pull out on him. According to them, like they could be trusted, he grabbed the shotgun and the struggle ensued, and they shot him twice. Okay, so the lead character, 64-year-old Greg McMichael, he, like I don't know if I mentioned, but he was a former investigator with the district attorney's office. He just retired after 30 years. So it's a whole lot of red tape. There's a whole lot of issues because of the fact it's a good old boy area. I should mention that Brunswick, Georgia is the same town that former Panther Elaine Brown ran for mayor back in the day. And she was disqualified because they said she didn't live there a year, even though she lived with a friend of hers for 2 years and lived on her own for a short while afterwards.
And we should also add, we should also add that no one has been arrested. And the shooting took place, I think you said in February, if I'm not mistaken.
It's February 23rd.
And no one has been arrested. No one has been charged. Basically, the accused, or the person who hasn't even been accused, has claimed that they were standing their ground, which obviously is the same defense that Zimmerman used in the
Right.
Trayvon Martin shooting and got away with it. And the prosecutors and the sheriff's office have put out letters basically stating the position of the shooters and why they have a right to defend themselves against this person who was jogging,
Right.
who was a former athlete and jogged every day to keep in shape, and why they killed him with a shotgun and left him to die.
And they're still, as usual, trying to demonize him. They're bringing up old shit. When he was in high school, he cut class, and somebody said he had a gun, and all kinds of dumb shit. So, I mean, basically right now, one of the main issues is the whole corona situation. You know, they're trying to figure out how can they protest, how can they rally, so on and so forth. I was speaking to Kamal yesterday, and one of the things that we suggest for those of you who are victims of police brutality or police terrorism or victims of white supremacy or what have you, you know, get your folks together, caravan through the community. You understand what I'm saying? You can still practice your social distancing. You can still organize your friends or whatever, get your signs, protest, go through, ride down on these motherfuckers and let them know that it is absolutely unacceptable for our children to be murdered in the street like dogs. You're not a fucking slave catcher. You can't just go chasing any black guy you see coming by and say that he looks like he might have did something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is despicable that we're living in 2020 and you can't even jog.
My hope is that the only reason this case hasn't caught fire before this is because of the corona issue, right? Because it hasn't come to light that long ago, and now it's good. You know, there's articles in the New York Times, and now it's becoming a national story. And like you're right, and obviously the one reason why folks have not been down there to protest in Georgia en masse is the coronavirus. But like you said, there's alternatives now that this story is breaking. That we as a community must move forward and take some action against this, because to do nothing, obviously, whether or not we think the justice system is going to work for us or not, and we all know that it's not, we still have to show a force or a strength to try to put these folks on their heels when it comes to killing our folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think it's just bringing it back to Trayvon, he was murdered, and I'm gonna say murdered because I know that man murdered him.
Absolutely.
He was murdered on a February, and I think even with that, it took a month or two for it to gain a lot of traction, and a lot of it was through social media. People talked about it on Twitter. I first heard about it in social media, I believe actually on Facebook. And so those are all the tools that are still available to us. The sheriff's number, we got telephones, we can call all these Open America Now people. They out there with their trucks. Some of them are social distancing with their masks on, some of them are not. But I see other, activists who actually are trying to do some good work who are doing protests while social distancing. There's going to be strikes in New York City tomorrow for International Workers' Day. So there are still ways to do it. I think social media is going to be key right now, because if there's so much attention on the police department, on the sheriff's department, that they're overwhelmed, they have no choice but to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And part of the issue too has been that the Brunswick newspaper down there, their main vein, has swept the shit under the rug and helped to play a role in keeping it covered. So they tried to, like I said, demonize them, criminalize them. I made contact with the mother, with his mother on Facebook. I'm waiting for a response on that. We're following each other on social media right now. So she knows that, we're pushing it. I invited her on the show. Hopefully we can get on in the next couple coming weeks. When we come back from this break, we'll give you all a number to call to the DA's office so, we can demand justice. This is a fucked up situation, to say the least. And I think that at the very least, while you're social distancing, you should be making phone calls saying, look, this shit is unacceptable, and you're not going to murder our kids and just get away with it. This boy was 25 years old with a promising life ahead. It's unbelievable that you can't even fucking jog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's bad enough that that the state was under lockdown, but you can't even get out and run outside for fear that some white boy will see you and say, oh, this nigga's up to no good. Let's go get him. And his son, by the way, runs some type of boating transportation system down in Brunswick. I want to get the name of that because I want to make sure that nobody gets on his fucking boats We want to make sure that no one supports them. We want to bleed these bastards dry. We got to hit them up from an economic standpoint, and we want to make sure that no one's supporting any of their businesses. Find out what the father's doing right now, what the mother's doing right now. Anybody that's working, that's getting any type of money off of our people, shut that shit down.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Renegade Culture. Listen, Renegade Culture, we're in the building.
Yo, thank you so much for coming out and supporting us. Sister Malaika, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me, brothers.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Pleasure myself.
See?
You
gonna
ain't
be
get
back,
the rough,
right?
rugged, and raw Renegade Culture tonight.
You gonna be back though, right?
Whenever, just tell me.
There you go.
Okay.
You might be able to replace Kalanji as co-host because I'm just saying.
Yeah, Malaika, Kalanji, same shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Nobody's gonna notice a difference.
Same Africans, you know what I'm saying? Kamal, Sean King, same thing. You know how we do.
Hey.
You know how
Why
we
you gonna
do.
go there though? Why you gonna go there?
Oh, my bad. Speaking of Sean King.
Yeah. Don't compare me to a non-black dude, okay?
Oh, wow. This man called a man a non-black dude. That's cold, man.
I am not part to take me out of this narrative.
I'm not a part of it either. I'm not talking about Sean King, Umar Johnson, or anybody else anymore because
some donations?
I'm a righteous man.
Donations?
Yeah, to either them or the Me Too movement, butter me off with some of that cash.
Even though he made the segment again.
Anyway,
give out the number for if you want to get in contact to support the case. They hear more about Ahmed.
Yes. For folks who are interested in the case or whatever, we want to make sure that you call the district attorney's office. That number, there's a number that Sean King put out. I don't have the district attorney's office, but you can call this number that Sean King put out. It's 770-800-0689. That's 770-800-0689. We will have it in the body of our write-up, so you can find it on Spotify or Apple and wherever else we're at.
And we appreciate all the good work that the male racial dozier has been doing in the community. So we're good with that.
This guy comes a male racial dozier. Malaika Jabali, we appreciate you coming through.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let Sean know that you didn't have anything to do
that's right.
Miles' rants on whether or not who is the lightest of the two.
But you can check out Malaika on Twitter. It's Malaika, Malaika Jabali. Follow her.
Yes.
She's a dynamic writer. She's written some fantastic articles, again, in The Guardian, Essence, several other publications. She's
one of Kamal's better guests.
She's the oh my guest, great. We're gonna go there. And she has a really strong leftist, self-determinationist viewpoint around what we need to do in our community. And we really appreciate you coming on and supporting us. We also want to talk about, we would have had a free t-shirt for you if we could ever get our t-shirts, but Kalanji,
you're not seeing the t-shirts are popping. Malaika, let us know. We'll get you a t-shirt.
You're gonna get her t-shirt
before Kamal get hers.
Oh,
yeah.
I want my shirt.
Yeah, doctor.
Follow us on Renegade Culture.
Have you seen the t-shirt here, doctor? I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? We laid out money for that. I ain't seen no
anyway,
you know what I'm saying?
Listen to Renegade Culture, where these motherfuckers keep talking about a t-shirt, and we trying to practice social distancing for they monkey asses. They be stressing me the fuck out. So I don't know if they deserve a t-shirt because they making our brand look bad. But anyway, go to renegadeculture.org.
There you go.
Where you can
catch on
SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify, Google Play,
Facebook, Renegade Culture,
Pandora. You know what I mean? We out there. We're doing this. Renegade Culture. #1 podcast in the building.
Bam, we out.
Black Owl.